Democrats and the media continuing to melt down of the Supreme Court's abortion ruling that let states decide how to handle the issue of abortion. Members of the squad leading the way in pushing radical ideas and how to respond. Let's listen together.
The Supreme Court has engaged in the overreaching of its authority in denying the human and civil rights of any pregnant person. Biden should entertain expansion of the Supreme Court. He should forcefully come out in ending the filibuster.
Pregnant person, you could also substitute women if you're looking to expedite the sentence. And the media is losing touch with reality, too, claiming this is the end of democracy while trashing middle America.
It just sucks, man. It really does. I mean, you know, it's like the country, it's no longer a democracy, right? I mean, it's no longer majority rule.
No, certainly not in the Senate, certainly not in the representation on the Supreme Court.
The problem is that middle stuff. It's those states in the middle, that red stuff. Why do they get to tell us what to do when the majority of us live out, you know, New York, California, and we're paying for all this crap, really?
Wow.
All right, it's the middle stuff, the red stuff. For more on that, let's go to Jesse. Jesse, is she making a lot of sense?
The middle stuff puts the food on the table that she's paying for at dinner. They probably put the gas in the car that she's driving to dinner.
There'll be no Fox News without the middle stuff.
I mean, everything in this country works because of the middle stuff. I want to talk about what the squad said, that there's going to be a women's strike.
Yeah, you're worried about that?
I'm a little worried about that.
Right.
Yeah, of course you are.
I'm watching Wheel of Fortune. Who's going to turn over the letters?
Great point. That's
what, is Pat going to have to walk over and turn over the letters?
Do you know how much Vanna White makes?
She probably makes 6 times as much as I do.
And it does.
Right. No, think about the repercussions here, Brian. Our EP at the 5 is a woman. She's not going to show up to work. We're left to our own devices. We're going to go from 1st to 5th, like that. The FBI agents that are women, how are they going to infiltrate Jane's Revenge? We're going to have male guys put wigs on and makeup and have to go. Is this going to happen at home, too? Well, who's going to mess with the thermostat? Who's going to tell me that my clothes clash before I leave? Are they not going to do everything, Brian? I think we're underestimating how serious this is. They have us right where they want us.
I'm glad you're not under.
It's like kryptonite.
For more stereotypes, let's go to Dana. By the way, this was done in 1975. 90% of women in Iceland participated, shutting down the country.
See?
And who noticed? And no one noticed?
Greenland?
In Iceland? I'm like, yeah, Greenland, maybe. I don't know. I think that the middle stuff is super offensive, and it's exactly the same type of thing of what Hillary Clinton said in terms of deplorables.
Yep.
It's the same language. They do believe it. Then they always have to have these really thoughtful discussions about why did we lose another election? And this is why. The other reason that you have the middle stuff is so that you can win World War II.
Yeah.
Great point. Judge, the middle stuff, if you look at this, they say we don't have a democracy, we don't have majority rule. You have the Senate, you have the White House, you have the House, you have majority rule, and the Supreme Court. Does she even know how government works?
These people have no idea what's going on, and that's why I had my head in my hands. AOC says the Supreme Court engaged in an overreach of its authority. Does she have any idea what the Supreme Court's job is in terms of the Constitution? Does the last woman, she says we're no longer majority rule. By the way, the Supreme Court doesn't make decisions based upon majority rule. The way they want to pack the court, they'll make it another legislative branch. And what makes them think they're the majority, by the way? Right. What makes them believe that?
She goes, why do they get to tell us how to live in New York and California? Harold, I think you have a unique point of view because you're from Tennessee. You got Republicans and Democrats living together. You're doing the impossible. So what do you think about this mindset that she just...
So I live in New York now, but Tennessee is home. You know, I don't agree with that characterization. I think that I understand where I believe I understand where some of the frustration and angst is coming from when you think about we could very well go back to 50 years ago as relates to choice and freedoms that women have enjoyed. I think as a country, we're always looking for... I don't remember a time when the court actually took rights away from people the way that this case has been done. I agree with you, Judge, that I think the Congresswoman from Queens has it wrong in saying that they don't have this authority. They do have this authority, and the question is, what can you do politically to try to redress it? I do think what we all have to step back and ponder is, the world we want to live in when it comes to the kind of expectation of privacy for people, particularly as it relates to choice for women in their bodies and whether or not abortions. Is it 15 to 20 weeks? Is this something the country wants? And we should all speak up about that.
And pass a law.
And we should, and our courts should understand that. I said on this show 2 days ago, the contraceptive, gay rights, other expectations of privacy that people have that I think Justice Thomas contemplated in his decision. I think that is a real and honest and serious and, for that matter, robust discussion we need to have as a country about whether we want that or not. And I know as one vote, I don't. I want 15 to 20 weeks, and I think we ought to have an expectation of privacy conversation.
How do you feel about Connecticut, New York, and California saying, hey, come to us for an abortion, as if
well,
it's
that's what I was going to say. I mean, Wanda, does she not realize that what this happens, that nothing changes in California and New York, except that those taxpayers in those states are now going to be a part of the abortion tourism trade that is going to take place.
Unless you want to put a pup tent in Yellowstone Park, this way they on federal land, that's another one of their ideas in order to have an abortion in a state that doesn't allow it. If they do it on federal land, they're going to think about doing that. Interesting times.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.